All right. So today I'm going to talk about the anatomy, an anatomy lesson of our data agent. So we built an internal analytics agent internally at Preset, and I'm going to talk about how to build one. I think I'm going to try to go meta. I'm trying to make it practical and try to encourage people to go and build like a super data agent for themselves and for people in their company to help self-service, people, work with data in all sorts of ways. So that's what I'm talking about today. Just for context, about a year ago, I wrote this blog post. So last year was kind of the rise of MCP and like the agent, the models got kind of good. And then last year, I was like, soon we're going to be able to compose all these MCPs and skills and contexts and do amazing things. And at the time, it was not really possible to do that because the MCP servers were kind of shitty and early, and they would blow up your context window. So it was not practical. But here we are a year later, and we can actually do it. I'm going to do a quick self intro, but I've got this deep passion for building data tools, like interactive things, super into AI. I started Apache Airflow, Apache Superset a while ago. And today I started something new too. I'm going to try to demo today. So I got a speed run so I can get to the demo. So hold on to your seat, maybe get a coffee. There should be a demo as part of this. Something kind of interesting too. So I've always been like super full stack, front end, back end, data engineering, playing analyst. I'm a little bit ADHD too, and those character traits tend to be super rewarding in the AI age. So like I've been really into agent orchestration, AI enablement, like trying to push people to do better work with AI. So this is what this talk is about in some way. So I'm going to do a little bit of a rebase. It's a little dizzying to follow exactly where we're at right now with AI. There's been so much stuff going on. So I'll do my read on what happened over the past year and what's happening, what's ahead of us. I'll be talking about analytics agents, like in a more conceptual, like what do they need to be deeply useful. And then I'll talk about the data agent that we built internally at Preset, and I might give you some ideas of doing similar things. And then I'll do an Aigor demo. Aigor is kind of a team command center for everything agentic, and that's what we use for all the mechanics of the analytics agent that we'll be talking about today. Rebasing. So what happened in 2025? I'm going to go quickly through this, but a lot happened last year. MCP dropped early in the year, or right around then. Claude Code dropped last year, so I'm pretty sure everyone has had their kind of Claude Code moment this year. They're realizing like nothing will ever be the same in the best way. Like they don't need to write code anymore, which is kind of a crazy shift when that's what you've been doing all your career. Then the models got real good, and then OpenClaw dropped and got covered in an interesting way by the news cycle. But I think the real thing is that's really interesting is the arrival like persistent agents, like agents that are not just an ephemeral session, that can build context, that have a memory system, that got skills, that can be driven to, they can it's agents with agency. These agents can actually be proactive too. It's a pretty big shift last year. And then some of the stuff that I see ahead that's coming up, and I don't know if other people share these views, but I think this year is the year where people really start to do MCP and the skill composition. So like bring couple like 3, 4, 5, 6 skills together, and a bunch of like MCP servers, provide the right context. So that's a big shift. Agent orchestration. So more and more people are parallelizing work with multiple agents. That's a big shift. Maybe like being able to collaborate with other people in your teams at managing your agents. That might be a trend this year. We've seen a pretty important rewrite of the PDLC, so the product development lifecycle and agile. Like a lot of these methodologies don't make as much sense anymore. So I think we're completely changing the way we work together and with agents. The roles are collapsing. We're going to get some better models again, which is crazy. They keep getting better and potentially cheaper. And this is maybe the year where agents start to get access to everything, and we might need to start thinking about Okta for agents. I think a lot of people right now are uh, passing their credentials to their agents, but like we might have more agent identity. And then maybe the end of subsidies. So we've all been enjoying the subsidized subscriptions to our AIs, but that might not last forever. So as much as I enjoy a nice VC money bonfire, like this, there's probably an end to it at some point. The economics or the tokenomics might change quite a bit. Cool. So, so this is the shock slide, maybe saying that your agents are limited to their interfaces, right? So if your agent is blindfolded and has no arms, you have to be the eyes and the arms of your agent, and that is not practical. So, this encourages you to provide the right tools to your agent so they can help you best. Now, since I'll be talking about analytics agent, I wanted to show our high-level data flow diagram at Preset. So we're a small startup. We're not like a gigantic company yet. We have a pretty intricate data platform, and you all have one. I'm sure you all have like very intricate data platforms. And the point around this is that for you to do any data work, you're going to need access to a multitude of systems, right? And so do your agent. So, just at Preset, we got BigQuery, we got dbt, Airflow, we got Superset as our main data consumption. We do ETL, reverse ETL, connect to all sorts of systems. So, it's quite a bit of complexity here and quite a bit of systems to access for your agents to help you with all of your data work. So now I'm going to get like more meta, like at a high level, without talking about our agent, but like what is your data agent going to need to serve you, right? To help you do your work every day, help like support the roles in the data team, but support your whole organization. And I'm going to try to go like somewhat by order of importance. So, your agent maybe first need access to your data through your BI tool, right? Maybe through a skill, an API, an MCP tool. But it needs probably a viz engine. It needs to know what, all the semantics that are in the BI tool. What are the metrics, the charts, the popular dashboards, and the most popular data sets, and how do they work? So all this metadata, super useful. Then I would say your data pipeline source code. So maybe historically we've had data catalogs and things like that or things like open lineage to get your lineage, but your data pipeline source code has tons of semantics, right? It's like the recipe book of how your data warehouse got made. So it's really important for your data, or if your agents got access to this stuff, it can really achieve a lot around lineage and understanding how metrics get made and how how your data is laid out and all of that good stuff. Then your agent needs SQL access, like probably to some sort of data access layer. In our case, we do it through our BI tool because Apache Superset has a really solid API to run SQL internally. But your agent's going to need to run SQL, right? And to look at sample data and perform queries and answer your questions. Relevant docs. So most organizations probably have a lot of documentation around their data warehouse beyond the code. Maybe some business metrics, definitions, and all this good stuff. So your agent needs access to that. It probably needs access to your orchestrator. You want to know if a job is late or hasn't run. But there's tons of important like data ops, metadata that lives in these systems, and probably a way to submit PR. So we got coding agents now too. So if your agent's has got access to file system and it's something like Cloud Code or the Cloud Agent SDK or Codex SDK, your agent is going to be able to fix up your pipeline, right? Maybe you're like, I want to break down this metric by a dimension that does not exist. Your agent can offer you to thread this this dimension through your data pipelines. A few other things too that are also useful, and I put like on the maybe, but I think that these things are super useful. But with OpenClaw and the rise of like more modern agents, not agents at memory, memory system. They've got skills. They can maintain your docs, you know, in external systems and in your wikis or wherever your docs sit. You might also need for your data agent to have access to your source and destination systems. By that, I'm thinking, say, you have a CRM, you load data from HubSpot and to HubSpot with reverse ETL. If your agent is able to, has got a skill to connect with these tools, it's going to be able to help you out. Maybe some data sync issues, and you know, in some cases, be able to directly shortcut the data warehouse and get data straight from the source. Data dictionary, if you have them, you know, plug them in. Semantic layers, if you use them, plug them in as well. And then something maybe the last, the cherry on top, but we'll see on my demo, is that if your agent is available on Slack, then that's where people live, that's where people collaborate and do work. So our data agent is available on Slack, and that turns out to be extremely helpful. I'll talk just a little bit about what we've built at Preset. So we ship, so at Preset, we built like a managed system, a managed service around Apache Superset. So we built Superset MCP, that's open source. So we're building on top of that. We've got an in-product chatbot too. So this in-product chatbot can answer a lot of questions, got direct access. It knows where you're at in the products. It's got a lot of context. It can also like show you or take action directly in the product. And then we've got a CLI, the Superset CLI, that allows you to manage assets as code. So we wrapped a little skill around that CLI, and the agents can do all the things the CLI can do. That's also an alternative way for the agent to run SQL. I'll talk a little bit, I'll talk about our agent maybe. So I wanted to introduce DatAgor. So like it's an agent that's built on the Aigor platform. That stands for agent orchestration. I'll demo a little bit of the tool today. So Aigor is the platform, DatAgor is the name of the agent. And I would love to encourage people to build their own data agent today. So just the anatomy at a super high level. So our data agent that's available to everyone in the company through Slack or through other means has access to Preset MCP. So it's able to access data, run SQL, create charts and dashboard, and help you find things. It's got access to our data pipeline source code. So for us, that's a repo, a code repository called DatAeng that has all of the data and engineering stuff. So Airflow scripts, DBT, Python script, all this good stuff. Then it's got some skills. So it's able to run DBT. So it's got a skill wrapping the DBT CLI, the sub CLI I just mentioned. It's able to talk with Airflow and Astronomer. Astronomer is the hosted service for the managed Airflow service that we have. It's got access to internal SaaS. So it's got access to our ticketing system, through our Notion, through Fellow, which is like the meeting, Fellow for us is like the meeting note taker. And it's got access to Slack, right? So it can go and scan a Slack channel to look for questions and answer and take actions. It's got access to our docs. And then it's got some agentic goodies of different kinds. So it has a memory system. As I mentioned, it's available on Slack, so you can just kind of ping it, and it can manage docs for us. So on top of that, it's got a little bit of personality. So when you create these agents, if you use an OpenXdata type framework, you can give it a soul and an identity, which makes it kind of interesting. You give your agents a little bit of personality. All right, now I'm going to talk about Aigor, and I'm going to try to keep an eye on the clock to see how much time I have. So back in the fall, I started building this agent orchestration platform called Aigor, and it's very much like a team command center for everything agentic. So the challenges I was dealing with is I wanted to orchestrate a lot of agents, right? Like since about this time last year, I started like figuring out how to manage like 2, 3, 5, 10 agents in parallel. So I wanted to like stay sane while doing that, not be stuck in all these terminal windows. And I was also upset that it's hard to collaborate with agents. We're also stuck like in our laptop, like Cloud Code and your AI sessions are very personal, but I wanted to enable, in some cases, to share sessions with my teammates. So here we go. So I'll show what I've built and what it looks like. And if I can get a time check, I don't know until when I have, and I know we're running late.
We've got until, I'll tell you exactly, we finished at 2:55 technically, which was 3 minutes ago, but let's say we got an extra, how long do you need?
I don't know. I can fill the time, but maybe I'll keep going and you give me a signal, 2 minutes before I wrap up, and I'll show
All
as
right.
much as I can show here. All
Yeah.
right. So, yeah, cool.
Go for it.
All right, so welcome to Agor. So this is an agent orchestration platform, and there's a lot to explain. There's a lot to show. So get ready to get a lot of information. I'm going to try to explain exactly how this thing works and some of the things that it can do. So the first thing is that in Agor, you got boards, right? So a little bit like Figma. So if you're familiar with Figma, it's a very much like a Figma type interface. And what are all these black cards that you see in here? These cards are Git work trees. So Git work trees they're kind of Git branches that you can have checked out in parallel. So essentially, you can see that pretty much everything on this board is a feature, right? So if you look at some of these that are done, they've got a PR attached to them. Some of them are a GitHub issue attached to them. And a work tree is where your sessions live. So if I click on this particular session, this happens to be a Cloud Code session. Here I have a Codex session. I did code review for this session. But basically, inside a work tree, which is a place in the file system, it's a Git branch where you can do work. You have one or many AI sessions. And here, it's built on top of the Claude Agent SDK, the Codex SDK, the Gemini SDK, all the agentic coding SDK, including Copilot and Open Code. So you can pretty much, instead of going to Claude Code in your terminal, you can come here. And if you come here instead, you're able to work with others. So you can see there's someone else here in my instance that's connected. And you can see that everyone have presets. I've got tons of like various users, like a lot of people at preset have access to this tool. So that means that someone else can come if I let them. They can come and prompt my session. They can come on my board, and I'll see their cursor. I'll see their little presence indicator. And now, general idea, maybe like the light bulb moment is that you can collaborate with your team with agents. There's tons of cool features in here. I'll try to explain a few. One is environment management. So now that we're all in the same box together, right? So we have a Unix box. Everyone's got their Unix username, and they execute, commands, and their agents run code as them. So I have like my own Unix user behind my Agor user, and I can start an environment, right? So if I want to start an environment, that's simple, like clicking stop, clicking start. You can have different variants on your environments, but here this environment is available for me to use to run some tests. Maybe I want to run some headless browser, playwright, MCP, unit tests. So the environment is there for the agent, and it's there for someone in QA in my team, or my PM wants to come and see this feature. They can come in here. They can click and open the environment that's in development environment. We can work together on that. So that's pretty groundbreaking. Like, it's been a lot of like Git push and pull when you try to collaborate with others, but your reviewer can come here and interact with your environment, your pull requests, and can create their own session or post prompt your sessions. So that's at a super high level. The board's got these work trees. They're typically features. And then you have these zones. So the zones are pretty interesting. The zones have template triggers. So they have prompts attached to them. So that when I say drag and drop this card to this zone, it will offer me to act on this prompt. So you can attach prompts to zone. You don't have to. That's a mean to organize your your projects, your workflow. So here you can see my workflow's got some coding task and a step to create a pull request and a step to trigger a codex review. So you can organize the stuff the way you see fit.
And so anybody
Yep.
who is on your team and has access to this board is able to see all these different sessions that you're showing on the right?
That's right. So they can go around and click around and read through the session and see what's happening, right? So they can look at the codex review, or they have full access access to the board if I let them. So the boards can be private. I won't get too deep into how this works, but when you create a work tree, you can decide whether it's just you or other people should be able to create sessions, prompt your sessions, have access to the file system or not. So you can decide on a per work tree basis, if you want to share them with others or not. But I love to share everything. It's like it's so cool to be able to like take a session link and say like, hey, this agent is saying something. I can take the URL, send it to a coworker. They can jump at the session. They can prompt too. So call it like multiplayer. Bring your team, bring your agents, and rock the boat. Make it happen. Work on the same live environment with agents and your team members. So what I wanted to show, so there's boards. I'll talk, just a little bit about the information architecture. So Aigor keeps track of the repositories you work with. Those are the work trees. So like there's one row here for each card. There's assistants. So the assistants here are based a little bit on OpenClaw. So when you create an assistant, it's a different type of work tree. And this assistant is always born with a memory system, with a skill folder. So they come in like they don't know anything, but the first time you talk to them, they do like OpenClaw. They say like, who are you? Who am I? What do you want to work on? What are some of the workflow? How do you want to organize your board? This sort of thing. So these assistants super powerful. So it's kind of like you can kind of think of it like OpenClaw for enterprises. If that makes sense, right? Or for OpenClaw for a team. So instead of having like your OpenClaw on your Mac Mini, now you have a place where you can build an agent. Maybe that's a legal expert, right? Or maybe that's a coding expert for a certain repo, or maybe that's the deal desk, go-to-market helper that has access to all of your contracts or something like that. Going down the list, so cards is a way for agents to put stuff that is not a work tree on a board. I'll get back to artifacts. This is like probably one of the coolest features. I'm going to save it for later. Here we register all of our MCP servers, so we use quite a few at preset. But when you start a new session, you can decide I want to use these MCPs in here, so that prevents from having to have everyone set up their MCP. So you have like these shared MCP servers. In our case, most of the SaaS tools we use internally. Then I'll show, I'm going to go to my Slack. Like earlier, I wanted to show how you can prompt. So DatAgor is our data agent, and maybe I'll reuse the prompt because I don't want to type. But if I ask it, what have we all accomplished over the past month or so? So what happens when I do this, it's gateway channel. Going back to the gateway channel, they're registered over here. So they point, they configure a Slack actor or GitHub actor to be connected to a specific agent. And in my case over here, so this one is getting to work. It creates an Agor session, but it will answer on Slack ultimately. So while this one works, I'll go to the prompt I did earlier. But this is the kind of things that we've been working on with DatAgor over the past month or so, asking it what it has done. It's referencing some PRs that we work on. It's referencing a lot of questions that people have asked internally at preset. So these are, when you create an assistant in Agor, it's got a memory system, it's got skill, it's got MCP access. It's pretty cool stuff. I'll show the last thing that I think is super exciting. So you've seen agents being able to create these micro apps very quickly. So in Agor, if you ask an agent, well, so first the agent has access to Agor through the Agor MCP. So that means that I can ask an agent to ask another agent, or I can ask an agent to find 10 GitHub issues and start 10 work trees in parallel, right? So the agent is able to create work trees, put agents to work, ask questions to agents. And then these artifacts, they're these little React apps, basically. So the agent is able to create these React apps and to publish them on board, which is super cool. So I'll go to a board that I created. I think it's called Artifacts. So here, those are just like, I asked agents, like, hey, can we track the number of stars on GitHub for Aigor, which is the product that I'm demoing now. So it's loading. So this is an artifact that an agent created. You've probably seen in Cloud Desktop, like the agents are able to create these apps and render them on the right panel. They also call it artifact, but here the agents are able to put them on a board. So I've got different apps here. This is how much token app burns, that burn over. I've spent 10K worth of token on my Cloud Max Pro plan. So I've been very much enjoying the subsidies coming
This is
from the
impressive.
VCs.
This
Isn't that crazy?
yeah, it's your own little dashboard that, wow. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. You can ask your agent, like let's say you're connected to the HubSpot MCP, which is your CRM, and you're able to ask your agent, like, hey, can you pull some data from the HubSpot API and make a little chart or dashboard, or make a little app that allows me to, I don't know, close deals that are potentially stale or something like that, right? So the agent is able to do this. You can see like different people here are coming in. So those are fellow presetters that don't know that I'm watching over them right now, but you can see their cursor move in places. I'm going to try to not show too much of what's happening internally, but very Figma-esque. So really excited about the tool. Like I think we got about 1,000 stars on GitHub, but you should definitely check it out. Play with it if you want to get involved, or just try it. Highly encourage people to take a look and engage. This is open source. Maybe I'll show the website. You can go to agor.live. So live as in very multiplayer. It's
Yeah,
pretty
very
good
cool.
documentation and a cool GitHub. So I'm gonna. This is most of the content I had. I went kind of deep in the demo. So I don't know if I'm gonna stick around, maybe answer questions on the chat too.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot coming through in the chat. I'm going to give it a star right now, man. Thank you for doing this. Sadly, I got to kick you off. I would talk to you for hours, so let's do another podcast sometime in the future.
Yeah, let's get together. We can do a podcast or just catch up.
Play some music. We'll play some music. That's good.
With the lag of the Zoom, I don't know if that works.
Yeah, no. I'll see you, man. Thanks. That was awesome.